بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. Welcome everybody in the name of God, the most merciful, the most gracious. Alhamdulillah, we are taking today the last lesson in our course, the phonetic rules of Quranic recitation. This is the 10th lesson of in the course of Tajweed of Quran. The lesson of today is this is the fifth. I will outline. This is the laser. So we are taking the last lesson, which is the echoing or qalqala. That is a rule of tajweed associated with the letters qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal. So this rule, in fact, is very easy and very simple, but very important because it is very repetitive in Quran. It is applied whenever we find any of these 5 letters, qaf, ta, ba, jim, and dal, found sakin, unvoweled. So whenever we find any of these 5 letters unvoweled, then we have to apply the rule qalqala, which is like echoing. I will explain how to apply this rule. So the single and most important rule for this, or the most important condition for this rule, is to find any of these letters coming sakin, or in English unvoweled. That's to say that they should not be carrying fatha, neither kasra, neither dhamma. So let's take an example rapidly. لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. So I colored the letters on which we will apply the rule in red. So we'll find here dal coming sakin and qaf coming sakin. It's not carrying neither fatha nor dhamma nor kasra. And here the qaf also, taqweem, coming sakin. Imagine if we do not apply the rule, which is echoing or qalqala. You will listen to me saying لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم. Did you even hear dal at all? I don't think that any of you has heard dal at all. So when I say لقد خلقنا, probably dal passed unnoticed. The same thing apply here. When I say خلقنا, probably you didn't even feel that there is a qaf. So the qalqala is coming to illustrate or make visible or make noticeable these letters when they come at a condition of sakin, sukoon, when they come unvoweled, to prevent them from being passed unnoticed. So what shall we do? The rule says here, these letters come unvoweled. The rule is applied when these letters come unvoweled or sakin. How we apply this? What's our action to apply this rule? Is to loosen a little bit, to release the tightness of the articulation point while keeping the sound. Oh, this is a little bit sophisticated. Let's simplify the rule. So, laqad, you see, laqad, the articulation point of dal, it is like we stick our tip of the lung onto the palate. Laqad. The tongue needs to be stuck onto the palate. So up till now, I just pronounced the letter, but I did not apply the qalqala. When I say laqad, I did not apply the qalqala yet, but I pronounced the letter correctly. The rule tells you, this is the articulation point, that the tip of the tongue is stuck to the palate, to the forward part of the palate. Okay? It tells you now to loosen that. So let's just leave a simple or a very small distance between the correct articulation point and between the palate and the tongue. So you are loosening the tightness of the articulation point. Don't stick too much your tongue to the palate at the last part of the the qalqala, you will lose a little bit your tongue from the palate. So then you allow the air to pass from the articulation point without keeping the articulation point. So when I say the air to pass, means that the sound is continuing, because air means sound. When I speak, air passing to in here in the larynx is making the sound. So you allow the sound to come out, but not from the exact articulation point, instead from an loosened articulation point. So you will start by correctly pronouncing the letter by just sticking correctly the tongue with the palate, but once you do that, just loosen by the end of your pronunciation of the dal of laqad. Just loosen a little bit while keeping your sound coming out of your mouth. So again, the dal needs to be pronounced correctly. To pronounce the dal correctly, you need to stick your tongue to the palate. So up till now, you just pronounced the dal, and this is correct. But once you finish that, now the time to apply qalqala comes. How to do that? Just loosen a little bit your tip of the tongue from your palate, so that you are semi-pronouncing the letter without fully making the articulation, required articulation for dal. So you just keep the air going out without without fulfilling the articulation of dal. So just simply, what I will do, I will say laqad, laqad, laqad. What I did, I just pronounced the dal in the first part, in the first phase. I pronounced the dal correctly. I made the articulation point as it should be done. By the end of the qalqala, I loosened my articulation point so that I allow air to come out from a loosened articulation point. Laqad, my tongue is stuck now. Laqad, now I loosen. Laqad, laqad. Look at my fingers. Laqad, laqad. So this is my tongue. This thumb is my tongue, and this my index is the palate. So I say laqad. Air is coming from two phases. A phase while my articulation point is tight, and a phase when my articulation point is loosened. So my sound continue in the two phases of articulations. Laqad, laqad. Okay, but I am exaggerating. It's not like that. Laqad, laqad. The second phase should be a little bit faster than the first phase. Laqad khalaqa. The same thing. La khalaqa. Khalaqa. You see? La khalaq. This is qaf. This is the correct qaf. Now, this is the first phase where you pronounce the qaf as it should be. This is qaf. But now, qaf requires certain position from the back of the tongue with the back of the pharynx. So the back of the tongue is stuck to make qa. But now, this is the first phase. Now we need to loosen a little bit while keeping a sound coming out of your mouth. So when you do that, you are making qalqala. This second phase is what is making qalqala. So most people, when they pass by these letters, they might pronounce these letters correctly while making the correct articulation point. But as I told you in the very beginning, this might not make visible these letters. These letters might pass unnoticed when we just pronounce the letter. And qalqala is here to just avoid that these letters pass unnoticed. Just pronouncing these letters as they should be pronounced is not sufficient. They will pass unnoticed. So this is why qalqala is obligatory to keep these letters visible or hearable. لقد خلق خلق خلقنا لقد خلقنا الإنسان في أحسن تقويم الذي أطعمهم. This is when you just pronounce the letter without applying the rule of qalqala. أطعمهم. But again, you might not notice the ta at all. أطعمهم. أطعمهم. What is it ta? Is it ta? Is it dal? So you don't really notice the ta. So that's why qalqala is here. Qalqala will visualize this ta. So we'll say الذي أط. So what I did, I just loosened the articulation point a little bit. After pronouncing the ta, I just loosened after and kept passing the sound of ta. الذي أطعمهم في جيدها حب not حبل حب. You see, this is very clear because the ba requires that the two lips be stuck. Hab. But what I did to make qalqala is that there are two phases. The phase where I make a full articulation of ba, then a phase where I loosen, I untighten the articulation point. That's to say that the lips will be loosened, not stuck to completely. I will loosen them while keeping the sound of ba. So I will say hab. You see the second phase? I'm exaggerating. This is not the way that we'll pronounce it, but I'm telling you what is it. Hab. In the second phase, I kept the sound while loosening the articulation point. Okay? في جيدها حبل من مسد. ألم يجعل يجعل. The same thing. This is a jim. يج. Two phases. The phase where I tighten the articulation point. Then the second phase, I loosen the articulation point while keeping the sound of jim. يجعل. ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل. Alhamdulillah, this is qalqala. So now qalqala, we will find it in many occasions in Quran. It's very frequent, and it should be known that when the letter of qalqala is coming at the end of the word, it should be clearer than when the letter of qalqala is coming within the word. So in the last examples we had here, so probably you listen here now with the adhan of Isha in Egypt in Cairo time. So I hope that this is, so just I will repeat that then. Now the خلقنا, when the letter is coming within the word, it might be a little bit difficult or so not, I will not say it like that. So when the letter of qalqala is coming at the end of a word, the qalqala should be clearer than when the letter or the same letter is coming within the word. Okay, so this is just a rule of thumb of qalqala. Now قل هو الله أحد. I will recite these surahs, and then you will recite inshallah after I finish. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. Imagine that if I don't pronounce the dal at the end with qalqala, you will not notice at all the dal. So imagine that I say ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. So probably there is no dal, or there might be ta or ta. I don't know. So this is why qalqala is very important. Otherwise, you are completely missing a letter, or it will be noticed like that by the audience. ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. قل أعوذ برب الفلق من شر ما خلق ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب ومن شر النفاثات في العقد ومن شر حاسد إذا حسد. Okay, some people might exaggerate in qalqala, and they make like if there is a new letter coming in. So من شر ما خلق as if there is an alif or something. This is wrong. This is exaggeration. So this should be avoided. Like also ومن شر غاسق إذا وقب, or something like, I don't like it. I don't even know how to imitate them, but this should be avoided. Don't exaggerate. Just a fraction of a second after fully pronouncing the letter, you just loosen and keep the sound. Loosen the articulation point and keep the sound, and then you will do what is called the rule of qalqala. And I will recite this also. Yeah. ألم تر كيف فعل ربك بأصحاب الفيل ألم يجعل كيدهم في تضليل. ألم يجعل, and this فليعبدوا رب هذا البيت الذي أطعمهم من جوع وآمنهم من خوف. Now I finished Alhamdulillah, and it was a pleasure to teach this course to you.